Alright, so how's it going today? I'm going to be doing complete overview of Countdown to Extinction and the 2004 remaster by Dave Mustaine himself. But before I get into that, I want to point this out, Killing My Business remaster, that was the first Megadeth album to be remastered. This is a really, really, really awesome album. It's the first one from Megadeth, clearly. And compared to the first albums of Metallica, Slayer, and Anthrax, which, everybody considers the big four, this is probably the best of the four. And people might be like, "Oh no, Metallica's better," blah, blah. This is an amazing album. And Kill 'Em All is a really good follow-up in terms of quality. In terms of production budget, the original, if you just put it from a sound engineering point of view or a listener appreciation, to the quality of the album, Kill 'Em All beats the original mix of this hands down. But musically, no. And Metallica's Kill 'Em All is, heads and shoulders above the first Slayer and Anthrax, and in my opinion. But I mean, we're talking about taste right now, not like facts. The facts of, I think Metallica had the biggest production budget for their first album, and I believe Dave Mustaine had the lowest of the first of all four of those groups mentioned here. But these songs are amazing. This album's amazing, and when I first read it, this was getting a remaster. I was totally excited to hear it, but I was still cautious because, I think this came out in 2002, 2003, somewhere around along those lines. But when I got it, I was like, "Oh my god, it's amazing." The only thing that's added to this is these boots, and I didn't go look it up, but I don't think these boots was ever included in any original version of this. Maybe vinyl, but I'm not entirely sure. I know it was originally recorded, but as to Dave Mustaine's words, it wasn't allowed to be put on the album because they didn't want the Sinatra name being associated with a heavy metal band at the time. So, and he made words about it too, but that's neither here nor there. So that's why I bring this up, because this turned out amazing. If you take the original vinyl record, original cassette, or original CD, and listen to it, and then listen to this one, you're gonna be blown away just by the sheer quality, audio quality of the album. So that's where we'll start. So I guess that the Killing My Business made something financially, so it seemed like the next step for Dave Mustaine was to get his original albums. I guess he had originally purchased his publishing rights from Capitol, or there was some sort of compromise to where he could get his hands on the master tapes and remaster them himself and re-release, and however they figured that out financially is, stuff I'm not completely aware about, so we won't discuss that. But so here we got, these are original mixes, and these are the remastered mixes. So here we have right here, blah blah blah, a American US release of Countdown with Vic and the Skull Abacus, and we have all the original tracks intact on the American version, and the last one being Ashes in Your Mouth. So if you know all these by heart, and you heard this originally when it first came out, and not after the fact, so, hearing this first when it was out there, growing up with it, or living with it, you know how it sounds. Like, you commit the songs and the sounds of the songs to your memory. So anything that sounds off or different, you're going to recognize if you have an ear for it. Or just in general, like when somebody is sick, you can hear them like different sounds in their voice if they're congested. So just to give you an idea. This is also an original Countdown, but this is a Japanese version. And I used to go to this place in high school and take my lunch money. I wouldn't eat lunch all week, and I'd buy like a import CD. They'd either get them used or they'd buy like bulk or whatever, and they get like a lot of live albums. But this is how I first found out that Japanese albums had extra tracks and stuff. And actually, a side story is I got a chance to hang out with the keyboardist Teddy Andreas from Guns N' Roses, and we got to talking about this stuff. And he was saying that when he was in Japan with Guns N' Roses, they would go into these small hole-in-the-wall Japanese shops, and they would just clip a bunch of them, but like walk out without, putting them in their jacket or anything. And they knew they kind of could, which is, I guess the law was on their side because those were illegal bootlegs, so they could have, had those shop owners in some sort of legal trouble. So that he would say they would go and get like counterfeit CDs of stuff that they wanted and just, walk out with them. He said they only did it a couple of times, so, for what it's worth. I just thought it was an interesting, funny story. But it was at the same time that I was getting into non-American releases, and Megadeth is one of my favorite bands, so of course I would have a few CDs at the time. But I mean, they were charging like $35-40 for an import, brand new. So I didn't have a whole lot of them. I just had the ones I really wanted. But anyways, so you got all the original tracks up until Ashes in Your Mouth, and then you got Breakpoint, which was only released on the Hidden Treasures, the American Megadeth Hidden Treasures, which is like a not really greatest hits, but compilation of stuff that they put on like soundtracks. They're all like one-off songs or songs they had lying around. They didn't make it into albums for whatever reason. And then you got Go to Hell. And geez, I don't know where Breakpoint is from other than Hidden Treasures, but I know Go to Hell was from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Oh, it even says it right here. But the funny thing is, from what I understand, is that Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey was supposed to be called Bill and Ted Go to Hell. So I don't know if Dave Mustaine had been informed of that prior to making the song, but I'm almost positive that this song was made for the album specifically, not just a song pulled from his songs and put on the album. So there's that. Breakpoint. I wonder if it's on Shocker, the Wes Craven movie, but I forget exactly where it's. No, that's No More Mr. Nice Guy. Anyway, so here we have the original recordings of Countdown to Extinction. And now these are the remasters, the 2004 remaster, remixed, and there's the CD with Vic. All the remasters have that. I'm sure everybody knows by now. And then there's Vic back there. And that picture of Vic was clearly on the back of the original album too. So, and the booklet is, I think it's the same. Let me double check that. I don't know if there's like new pictures of it. The original booklet had like their 4 faces, like in black and white. Oh no, it's a different booklet. Has a 2-page dissertation, spiel from Dave Mustaine. And there's the evolution ladder. There's a page dedicated to bonus tracks. Crown of Worms, Countdown to Extinction demo, Symphony of Destruction demo, and Psychotron demo. None of them of which are that amazing. I mean, they're demos, they're made and then they get fleshed out into the full songs. But Crown of Worms is a good song, though. Okay, so here's what the original images of the booklet, the original release of the booklet look like. At the lyrics and then each band member in black and white. It's so odd, man. You see Dave Mustaine looking, like he does, the scowl on his face. And then Mike Friedman looking all artsy. I mean, that's just his personality. If you've seen interviews with him, he's just a very like laid back, kind of chilled out person. Nick Menza, yeah, just looking away. And then Dave Ellefson looking angry too, for whatever reason. Maybe it's because he had to work with Dave Mustaine, I don't know. And here are some photos of the band. I believe these are all Countdown era photos from magazines or photo shoots. Okay, so now that we kind of got that out of the way, why am I doing this? Is just kind of go over the comparisons between the two albums and the variations of the albums. So we went over the original release and the remaster. This is also a remaster, but this remaster is based on the original recording. So the audio tracks, from what I understand, were cleaned up. Any audible distortions that wasn't intended on any of the trackings were removed. The overall volume was raised. Vocals were cleaned up, but nothing was messed with, unlike the 2004 remaster. And we'll get to that in a second. So this is a little mini box set, and Amazon had a exclusive deal with Dave Mustaine that he would like sign and number them. Here's the back leaflet from the cellophane. Well, because it came in a cellophane. So you got the album with the original tracks up till Ashes in Your Mouth, and then you got Live at the Cow Palace, which was recorded in '92. So I believe this might have been like a listening party, like by invite only, but I'm not entirely sure. And then you got full face shots, like promo shots, as if you're doing a press kit for a band or an actor. They're postcards. I don't understand the desire or need to have these made for a special edition or anything, but they're there. So here's the booklet that comes with the 20th anniversary. I think I said 25th earlier, but it's 20th anniversary. There's a foreword by Corey Grow, and then I really want to say this is a rest in peace picture, like from that time or prior to this being recorded, this album, but I'm not entirely sure. So you got track listing, and then it says original credits. CD2 track listing, and more credits. And then here we go with a similar booklet layout like the original one, but the background's black instead of gray. And I think it kind of follows the same pattern, except Nick Menza's in the back, and that's Marty. I don't know, maybe it's put in order of how much Dave Mustaine liked these people at this time when he was doing this. I don't know. And then we got Dave Mustaine flipping you off, and then Vic again. So here's the Cow Palace. Oh, this is Countdown to Extinction, and a cardboard sleeve. And there's a partial shot of a clock. And then here's the Cow Palace sleeve. And then this is like a mini poster, fold out. Nothing too really that exciting about it. It just kind of hit Vic in like a mushroom cloud, and the credits at the bottom like a summer movie setting. But If you want to see the whole thing, you can find it easily online just to look at it. But it's something that's spectacular. But the cool thing about it is like it's a good remaster, like I said, of the original album. So if you just have to have it, I mean, you can still get one. The people seem to want to charge like double what they're really worth, so you could probably find them between 30 and like $60. And if that seems excessive, you could just get an original 92 American release, you know, for about $10, even cheaper if you're patient enough or make somebody an offer. I mean, sometimes you can find these like a Goodwill for like $2-3. There's a lot of them out there. So now we can move on to the Dave Mustaine remasters. So he got it in his head that he was gonna remaster after Killing Is My Business. Peace Sells, So Far So Good So What. Why am I forgetting? Rest in Peace, Countdown to Extinction, Euthanasia, and Risk. And I mean, Risk, I guess. I mean, it's a very mediocre album. I mean, a couple of good songs, but I didn't understand the need for that to be remastered. But anyways, so when you listen to this, you can hear the overall volumes increased, and it sounds cleaner, and just like this one. But you can hear things that Dave Mustaine either push back in the mix or just flat out replace. Like, there are some guitar parts, if you're really familiar with this album, that have been changed or removed with him doubling and putting it back on with him doing it. I don't have all the evidence to support it, but if you just listen to song by song, you can hear huge difference. He also seemed to added some reverb to his voice, and then added compression to where his singing sounds a little more even instead of fluctuating in certain times, which is just the way he sings. I was really just let down by this album. I felt like, oh, it's awful. Especially when we grew up something that like this. This is a really good album, even for its time, engineering wise and musicality of it. But it's just something that you really want have or listen to. I would recommend just getting this one, because these ones are really easy to come by. And I mean, I don't think it's worth the money. I would borrow it from somebody if I could, but in order to make like a fair opinion on it, you'd have to listen to it in its full quality. So I wouldn't get like a low quality bit rate MP3 to listen to it and then make a judgment that way. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't suggest it. So like, don't buy it off iTunes or Amazon Music. Get the CD and decide for yourself. So the next one is, this is a 24 karat gold remaster recording, and a lot of these came out in the 90s for certain albums that this company did, Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab. And when this came out, I thought it was going to be this, so I was really excited to get to pre-order it and buy it. And then I got it, and I was like, oh my god, it's in my computer right now. It's just a gold disc. I'll get it right now. But when I listened to it, I was like, oh, and this is not what I was hoping for. So it's just a remaster on top of a remaster. I don't know if that even makes any sense, but it's the Dave Mustaine remaster in a quote higher quality, a higher process, a replication, if that's even accurate to say. But you know, the gold disc transference with the laser is supposed to be a higher quality audio wise, and it does sound a little more sharper. Like, if you have really good speakers, really good headphones, there is a quality difference in the sound, but it's not major, which is why I say I wouldn't foot the bill for $30 to $50 for this, new or used. Just it's not worth it unless you just have to have it. It's like if you're trying to complete a collection, or I don't know, it's a gift for somebody, I guess. But this is good enough. These are no way near worth. I mean, like I said, this is cheap. You can find this anywhere. But the price of this is nowhere near worth what other Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab CDs are asking for. And again, a lot of stuff is subjective to each person's opinion and ear, whatever. So that's how I want to put it out there. I'm not saying, oh, you have to hate this or you have to like this. This is my preference. I grew up with this. I know this really well. This is just a kind of, to me, a what if. But the fact that Dave Mustaine took it upon himself to remaster this and really mess with some of the songs and the parts and re-edit stuff, and he's a really good musician. He's an above average musician for the speed metal genre. I mean, I know he's older and a lot of stuff isn't what it used to be, but you know, we all get older. But as far as these albums are concerned, he's a guitar player, and he might have a good ear for, you know, a good rhythm or a good riff, and he was able at one point to write lyrics that flowed with almost all his songs. But when you get older and you look back on something, whether you like it or hate it, it's a part of like who you were growing up. And as much time as he spent in the studio making albums, he's still not like a sound engineer, and he may not have a certain ear for stuff. So it's kind of like having somebody make a car and then a mechanic gets his hands on it. He can fix it really well, but he cannot engineer a car, but he can fix it, if that makes any sense. So I kind of, right, and like the song Mechanics. But anyways, the point I'm trying to drive at is that if he had some assistance with, you know, people in the industry that he trusted to help him out, this could have turned out a heck of a lot better than this. I'm not sure how, you know, I wasn't there, but if you just give them a listen, I mean, chances are the majority of ears will say these versions are the best. I guess if you really want to get into this, I would buy this version. Hear it, and if this is the version you haven't heard Countdown to Extinction at all, you really need to hear the original release. It has a certain tone, and it's just it's magical to an extent. Like, I mean, 1992 I think it came out, and that's when the grunge thing was getting spooled up, and a lot of junky glam bands were getting sent out to pasture, you know, which is good in their own right. But this is a really good album, and funny thing enough, opinion wise, again, this is still a better album than the Black Album, and the Black Album is a really good album in my opinion, but it's so refined to a point that it's radio friendly. And it's not to say some of these songs on this album weren't intended to be used on the radio, but just the overall experience, the ferocity of the riffs and the tempo of all the songs. I mean, there's the only thing that could be considered like a ballad would be Foreclosure of a Dream, which is just like a slowed down like hard rock song. I mean, you could even label it like a I don't want to say what Bob Dylan, like a folk song, you know, kind of a little more aggressive, but yeah, man. So that's my 2 cents on these albums. If you have started with this, move to this. If you have this and you haven't heard these, don't waste your money on this. Just get the regular remaster. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm trying my best to find albums that have multiple revisions or whatever of them, and it's not super easy. So when I get another chance, I'll make another video. Thumbs up if you can, pass it along. Let me know what you think, what your opinions are on these albums. Thanks. Bye.